They've stood for centuries, tall, silent, and unblinking. Hundreds of stone giants dotting a remote volcanic island in the South Pacific, staring endlessly at the sky and sea. To the world, they're ancient relics, heads carved in rock, a riddle wrapped in isolation. But to the Rapa Nui people, they're sacred, living faces of their ancestors, guardians of spirit and soil. And now, finally, after decades of mystery, scientists have uncovered the truth about the Moai and the people who built them. A truth so mind-bending, it rewrites everything we thought we knew about Easter Island. These are not just statues, they are Moai, the sacred sentinels of Rapa Nui. For generations, we were told the same old story. A once great civilization built these monuments, overpopulated their paradise, cut down all the trees, and vanished into chaos. But that story, that was only half the truth. Or maybe not the truth at all. Because what lies beneath the surface, both literally and figuratively, is staggering. Archaeologists have been digging deeper, not just into the earth, but into the very DNA of this island's history. And what they've found? It's forcing us to throw out the old myths and finally listen to what the statues have been trying to tell us all along. Let's clear up one of the biggest misconceptions right away. The Moai aren't just heads. For decades, popular images, especially those famous shots with only the heads poking out of the ground, led people to believe that's all they were. But starting as early as 1914 and confirmed more recently by the Easter Island Statue Project, full-body excavations have revealed something stunning. Most Moai have entire torsos buried beneath the surface, neatly carved arms, torsos, even intricate petroglyphs etched into their backs, hidden for centuries under layers of earth and time. So why were they buried? The answer isn't mystery, it's nature. Wind, rain, erosion, and volcanic ash slowly swallowed the lower halves over hundreds of years. It wasn't deliberate, it was time. And with that one discovery, the illusion shattered. These weren't crude carvings. They were engineered monuments. Spiritual vessels standing tall not just on the island, but in the belief system of a people whose legacy the world almost forgot. The Rapa Nui people arrived on this island, now known as Easter Island, sometime between 800 and 1200 CE. They were master navigators, Pacific seafarers who found one of the most isolated islands on Earth and made it home. But they didn't just survive, they thrived. And between 1250 and 1500 CE, they began carving Moai, over 900 in total, out of volcanic tuff at the quarry of Rano Raraku. These weren't random statues. Each Moai was commissioned by a specific clan, built to honor a revered ancestor. They believed the spirit of the dead would pass into the statue, continuing to watch over the living, blessing the land, protecting the crops, and anchoring their society. These figures weren't art. They were sacred. And when the eyes were added, carved from white coral with pupils of red scoria or black obsidian, the Moai were said to become activated, alive. That moment was sacred, a connection between the living and the dead, a visual reminder that the ancestors still walked among them. And that belief, it didn't just shape their religion, it shaped their entire world. But here's the twist that puzzled archaeologists for decades. How did they move them? No wheels, no metal tools, no beasts of burden. And yet, hundreds of these stone giants, some weighing 80 tons, stand miles from the quarry. Early theories ranged from sleds and log rollers to aliens. Yes, really. Even authors like Eric von Daniken claimed the precision of the statues must mean extraterrestrial intervention. But science told a different story. In 2012, archaeologists Terry Hunt and Carl Lipo put a theory to the test. They built a replica Moai, Not a lightweight prop, but a full-scale, 5-ton concrete statue. Using only ropes and a team of 18 people, they walked the moai, rocking it from side to side in a rhythm. And it worked. The slight forward lean, the curved base, turns out the moai were designed to be moved this way. They weren't dragged, they walked, which makes you wonder. When the Rapa Nui said the statues moved with mana, a spiritual force, maybe they weren't speaking metaphorically, maybe they meant it. And the rhythm of that movement? That was the sound of generational engineering, disguised as myth. For years, Western historians pushed a bleak version of Easter Island's past. A civilization that overfarmed, cut down its forests, and collapsed into warfare and cannibalism. It was a tidy cautionary tale, ecological collapse as a parable. But recent science has flipped that story on its head. Archaeologists, using satellite imagery and LiDAR, have uncovered something stunning. The entire island had been intentionally modified for farming. The Rapa Nui practiced lithic mulching, scattering volcanic rocks across the soil to trap moisture, protect nutrients, and prevent erosion. They built circular windbreaks, manavai, to create microclimates for growing crops in a dry, windy environment. Far from destroying their environment, the Rapa Nui were masters of it. And about that famous claim of a population boom and bust, turns out the peak population was likely between 3,000 and 4,000, not 30,000. That's a sustainable number for the island's resources. So what caused the real collapse? The same thing that shattered countless indigenous communities worldwide: colonization. December 1862, Peruvian slave raiders arrived on Rapa Nui. They captured and enslaved nearly 1,500 people, almost half the island's entire population. Families torn apart, leaders taken, priests, carvers, farmers gone overnight. Those who survived the brutal voyage to Peru were worked to death in mines and plantations. Others died from diseases like smallpox and tuberculosis. And when a handful of survivors were finally returned to the island, they brought those diseases back with them. By 1877, only 111 Rapa Nui remained. Let that number sink in, from thousands to barely 100. A culture gutted, not by its own hand, but by outside invasion. And yet, somehow, the Rapa Nui people endured. So why did the collapse story stick? Because it was convenient. It let colonizers off the hook, made it easier to blame the victims than face the brutal legacy of slavery and disease. But science doesn't lie. Genetic research shows that the population was stable for centuries, until after European contact. And radiocarbon dating of the moai platforms proves construction continued well into the 1800s. The Rapa Nui didn't abandon their culture. They kept building, even as their world was collapsing around them. That's not a story of failure. That's a story of resilience. Today, the moai still stand. Some toppled by colonizers, some buried by time, some still upright, watching, waiting. They're not just statues. They are history, spirit, protest, memory. And now, they're finally being heard. The Rapa Nui story is no longer a parable of destruction. It's a testament to what human ingenuity, belief, and community can accomplish, even in the harshest isolation. And maybe that's the greatest discovery of all. That the people of Rapa Nui didn't need aliens, didn't need saving. They already had everything they needed, right there on the ground. Knowledge, faith, resilience. For centuries, we asked the wrong question. How did they fail? But the better question is, how did they endure? Because maybe the real lesson from Rapa Nui isn't about collapse. It's about survival. Thanks for watching. If this story changed the way you see the ancient world, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you want more unbelievable true stories that history almost forgot, click the video now on your screen. You won't believe what's next.